Enjoy the fresh chicken lime burrito goodness. For this episode, we'll be featuring vlogs from Central Europe Satellite Studio. So catch all of these this Tuesday on Like and Share, July 1, 2025, 2 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. Only here on INCRadio.
Ate, pray muna tayo.
Exam day ko na bukas, kinakabahan ako.
Sabi ni Mama at Papa.
Manalangin muna. Tara na't manalangin na tayo.
Anak, matutulog na tayo.
Sabi niyo po sa amin lagi.
Manalangin muna.
Laging manalangin upang tayo magabayan sa ating gagawin. Isang paalala mula sa INC Radio.
What makes a family strong? It's trust. Trusting that the family members will listen.
Hey, how's your day?
Pretty exhausting.
Come, let's eat. You can tell me all about it.
Honesty opens the door to understanding and closeness.
Is everything okay?
No, we're supposed to do a group presentation, but the other won't even help me.
Sometimes you need a lot of courage to say what you think or feel, but it's worth it. Try it.
When your children are honest about something sensitive, tell them how much you appreciate their honesty. Why do we keep reminding our children? Because we love them and we want them to grow up trusting our Almighty God.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, Mom.
Homework?
Kind of. It's a school project, and you have to present someone from LA we admire.
Celebrity time. Who's it gonna be? Actor, athlete?
You.
Cool.
Yeah. You work hard. You help out with everything around the house. You never complain. You just do what's right, even when no one's watching.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to. Just don't make me redo my project.
The world may celebrate stars, but the ones who shine brightest are not on screen. They're family. A message from INC Radio Los Angeles.
Lorraine, you know what I've been thinking about lately? Hello. Earth to Lorraine.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What did you say? What were you saying?
Girl, I've noticed you've been on your phone a lot lately.
I know. Life's been busy. Family, work, a lot of things.
I understand. But, it's been so long since we've caught up with each other.
You're right. I think, did we want to catch up soon? Tomorrow? Maybe next week?
Next week, let's say Friday.
Okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
Even though life can get super busy for all of us, it's still important to make time for your friends and loved ones.
And you know what? I appreciate you for telling me. Thank you for reminding me.
That's what friends are for. And this is your friendly reminder from the INC Radio San Diego Satellite Studio.
And we'll catch you on the next
Wave.
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
forget, 'cause just a prayer away. Don't give up now, trust the process and keep learning. And if you need a friend, we're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, together, together. Together as a family in faith and melody.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. This is INC Radio's Faith and Melody, where we have deep, rich, and life-affirming conversations and listen to inspiring Iglesia Ni Cristo original music. Today, we're talking about what it looks like to create ties that last. That's friendships and connections built on love, effort, and grace. So we're excited for you to join us. For your host for today, I'm Jay here in Australia.
And I'm Belle from the United Kingdom. And as your host for today, we're so excited for you to join us. So let's get the show started with our first song on our playlist, which is Streets of Gold.
When the world brings me to my knees, there's a place that I long to be. But I know that I am safe and sound, my Lord God, as long as you're with me. From the cold, from the storm, there were chills, but now I'm warm. Thank you, my Lord God, that you're in my life. I cling to your words, my guiding light. With you I don't worry, I know I'll be whole. Streets of gold, streets of gold. I know I'll be whole. Streets of gold, streets of gold. I'll serve you with all my heart and soul. If you leave me, I'll be without hope. Please draw near to this heart of mine, and may your grace and love upon me shine. If I fall, help me, Lord, through it all. Thank you, my Lord God, that you're in my life. I'll cling to your words, my guiding light. With you I don't worry, I know I'll be whole. Streets of gold, streets of gold. When it's done, when my race is won, oh, may I go to your holy city with streets of gold.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Jay and Belle here on INC Radio's Faith and Melody. And if you're watching with us live, it's currently 12:04 over there in the main studio in the Philippines. So later on the show, we're going to be talking about what it takes to build and sustain meaningful relationships, especially through challenges and changings of seasons of life. So today's topic is ties that last. But before we dive into our discussion, we will begin with our kickoff chat.
Another word is life storm. Let us know if it's something that you're willing to pick up as a
Kickoff chat.
So to start off today's show, we'll start off with one simple question. What interest or hobby would make you click with a person immediately? What's something that will spark so much joy in a conversation for you, Jay?
For me, one of the things is someone that's really interested. I've mentioned this before, Japan. Just because we love going to Japan, we love talking about it, and just the whole adventure of exploring a new country that you don't know, foreign, you don't know the language and things like that. So Japan would be one thing. If it's gonna be like your first time and you're excited, we'll be excited with you as well, right? So that's one thing for me. If the topic is got to do with traveling, and in particular going to a different country, yeah, that's one of those things that will be like we have a lot of things to talk about, especially when it comes to like the thing where people go to Japan, the food, and maybe the things that you can buy there, like the anime and things like that, and the merchandise, the bags. There are certain bags that we love to get just in Japan and things like that. So we love talking about those things. We love talking about our favorite food places and kind of like places to avoid. So anyway, I can go on and on, but Japan would be one for me. There's a few more, but I'll let you have a go first, Belle. What's one thing that interest or a hobby, a topic of conversation that will make people just click with you?
Well, since you mentioned Japan, I'm gonna say matcha. It's like
I was going to say that. Matcha
it's so
latte.
I love it. Yes. And even matcha chocolate. Oh my goodness. It's just sparks so much joy in me because I'm not really heavy on coffee or tea. I mean, matcha is like green tea, right? But like I like it in my latte. So for me it's just I'm just I just really get excited about it because me and my friends like here in Heathrow, in my local congregation, sometimes we talk about it and we try to like recommend each other really good places where you can get it because um, how do you call it? It's like a hit or miss because each place does it differently. So yeah, I just really get excited about it as you can tell.
I just found what there in the UK, Val. I don't know if you've been to it, but they make they make pastries, but they're shaped like fruits, right? So they're shaped like limes and strawberries and things like that. They're shaped like fruits, but when you bite it, it's like it's chocolate, right? So it's chocolate, and there's like there's the sauce or whatever. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those places, but it's there in the UK. I'll let you know like after the show or something like that. But I saw it and I was like, wow, right? So like for example, they have one was like it looks like a strawberry, but when you bite it, it's not a strawberry. Well, it's got strawberry filling, but basically it's just chocolate. But yeah, that's another one. So food and dessert is definitely a topic of conversation for me too, right? Like especially like around here, like they say that Melbourne is one of like the capitals for food, but also coffee, right? So if you like your coffee, and I'm sure there's a matcha latte place around here in Melbourne. But let's say hello to our Ohana there, our viewers in our live chat. We've got, of course, we've got Mario Oka saying to us, good midnight there in the Philippines. So we're very appreciative to Kuya Mario and also to everyone that's tuning in from the Philippines. I know it's just after midnight there. What's the time? Like 12:08 a.m., like just after midnight. So thank you so much. Maraming salamat po. He's saying here, uh, in the Philippines, enjoy watching Faith and Melody. Greetings from Local of Brixtonville, there in the district of Caloocan North. And of course, Rod Kahayag is there in our live chat as well, saying hello to us. And he's got a few here. He's saying bowling. So things that will make you click with a person immediately is if they want to talk about bowling. I'm not. I've never been very good with bowling. Yeah, I always get a gutter ball, so I'm not good with bowling. But working out, he says, cooking food on a smoker grill, sports and cars. I feel like most of those are topic of conversations for me as well. Like high-end sports cars as well would be one for me. If you like, yeah, sports cars, kind of like the whole scene and genre of like modifying a sports cars and all of those little things. But yeah, what else for you, Belle, apart from matcha latte.
For me, I really love skincare and like makeup, especially like
Okay, okay.
from Southeast Asia because like since I'm like my parents are Filipinos. I feel like a lot of products. I don't know, but anyways, yes, I just really get excited about it, and with like the same friends that I was talking about with about matcha, we talk about that as well. So we recommend stuff to each other, even like especially me and my sister. So it's just really fun way to engage with like my girls, and it's just really fun because self-care is also important, so skincare also plays a big part in that. So yeah, it's just I'm so excited about it.
I get most of my skincare tips from Jem. So she's kind of like she's the one that kind of recommends the products to me. But I get that. That's nice, right? I think you and Jem would probably hit it off into talking about skincare and all those things that you do, right? It's not just one step. You don't just wash your face. There's like cleansing and then maybe a double cleanse and then there's a toner, then
Wow.
exfoliator. And there's a sorry?
Wow, I'm impressed on like
Oh,
about
like she tells me everything, and then like yeah, all those steps. Like it's not just one step to clean your face. There's multiple steps because you also have to hydrate. The difference between a serum and all of these things. There's so much, right? So she recommends all this stuff for me. But for the guys out there, you gotta look after your skin. It's you only have one skin. You gotta take care of it. Gotta stay foggy looking, right? So yeah, take care of your skin as well. Another one for me, another topic conversation. And for those who are tuning in right now, we're just doing our kickoff chat. What interest or hobby, topic of conversation would make you immediately click with a person? What's Kuya Tech saying? For him, calamansi. Calamansi lang. Is that like on your face? Kuya, like you just put calamansi. Calamansi is like a citrus fruit, right, Mel?
yeah.
So I think I've tried that before, right? But now yeah, it's a little bit more complex apparently when you look after your skin. But another one of topic conversation for me is got to do with tech. So when it's got to do with either computer tech or camera tech, like there's been so much, changes and development when it comes to cameras, SLRs, and now mirrorless, and then the same thing when it comes to computers and gaming and graphics cards and CPUs and all of those fancy technical jargon, right? Like all of those things would be my cup of tea as well, talking about that. And it's like, oh, which one's better for like doing this and doing that? And what camera should I get? It's my first one. And what lens, especially talking
Well,
about lenses. Love talking about lenses and what do they do, right? That's kind of like a familiar, comfortable topic of conversation that I like because I deep dived into that when I was a little bit a few years back, and a lot of it becomes a very expensive hobby when it comes to camera gear, right? Especially mirrorless cameras and SLRs and buying lenses. So yeah, I feel like I've got some experience to talk about there when it comes to that. Anything else for you, Belle, before we start wrapping up our kickoff chat?
oh, there's like cameras as well, like because as a film or media person, like I get you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just wow. I get excited about a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm just
It's
happy
like
about
it's especially because like we're part of the district multimedia like team,
yeah.
right? We work in that sense, like we help and we volunteer to help out with event coverage and maybe shooting certain videos, right, that we use in our different platforms. And it's fun, right? It's fun to do the creative part, to try and get a look that you saw somewhere else and try to copy it and replicate it for the storyline or something that you're working on, right? So things like, not just in concert, but what's the other one? In cinema, right? The in cinema productions that we have. That's a nice opportunity for people who are interested in that to be able to show off their skills and show off their passion when it comes to creating the right lighting and the right mood and the right angle. And yeah, it's always fun. But yes, that's pretty much our kickoff chat. I just read a couple of things there in our live chat. Kuya Rod says talking about everyday things is kind of just like a simple one, right? Just everyday things. You'll be able to click with Kuya Rod. So it's nice and simple. And he says that we bought a DSLR but only used it a few times, right? So there's also that. That's why I remember when we used to do uh, camera classes, for like the younger youth, like especially those who are starting to get interest into like video and photos. Like we would do like a mini class with them. And I know one of the locales here, they do like a photo walk, right? And they would go around and take photos in the city, and they would be led with like the leadership of the Kadiwa, who are like the 18 and above, like the baptized members, basically, who are not married. And they would just have fun taking all these different photo styles and learning how to use their camera. So that's a pretty cool activity to do as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for participating. That's been our kickoff chat. So can we have a bumper out? Kuya Nico, Kuya Irene?
Our icebreaker is titled Life Transform. Let us know if it's something that you're willing to take up as a
Kickoff chat.
So I'm sure our topic of conversations that makes us click with people would be one of the things that help us to make friends and connections, or maybe ties that last. But we're going to get more into detail about that in our actual conversation. So before that, we are going to take a quick musical break. The next two songs that we'll be listening to are titled, wait, hold on, this is in Tagalog. Halika na, kaibigan. And the second song, Gathered Together. So enjoy these two songs, stay there, and we'll be right back after this.
Alam kong nais mong makamtan ang pangako ng Ama, kaya ang aral niya ngayon iyong pakinggan. Siya na may handang magpatawad sa lahat ng iyong sala, di pa huli sa'yo siyang naghihintay. Halina kaibigan sa daan ng kaligtasan, magkasama nating tuparin ang ating tungkulin. Ang ating mga ay puno ng pag-ibig. Tayo'y kanyang minamahal, kaya tayo'y magbagong buhay na. Alam kong nais mong tumahan sa pangako niyang bayan. truth, yeah. Cause I've been walking around. I wanna share my faith with you. So take a moment and listen up closely. I'll only take a minute of your time. Oh, the words that you will hear is exactly what you need. Even if it may hurt, the truth will set you free. Must be gathered together, gathered together, gathered together. That's the will of God. Gathered together, gathered together, gathered together. Do you love God? Yeah, we should love God. Love is more than words. To prove you love, you gotta live by all of His teachings. Yeah, it's God's will we must fulfill. If you want eternal life, then hey, gather together, gather together, gather together. We must be gathered together, gathered together, gathered together.
Welcome back, everyone. Jay and Bell here on INC Radio's Faith and Melody. And our topic for today, ties that last. So let's start off by talking about how relationships are formed, because it's true that people change, right? Life gets busy, things get in the way. But strong relationships can still last. So what helps strong relationships stick together? So let's go ahead and begin this by asking this first question: what qualities is important to you in a strong relationship or friendship, right? Because there's, just like in our kickoff chat, we talked about certain things of topic or hobbies that kind of makes us be more relatable to certain people who share the same interests. But for your strong friendships and strong relationships, what do you think are most important qualities? Like apart from having shared interests, is there something else that's important for you? Go ahead and write the answer down in our live chat. But Belle, let's start off and hear from your thoughts on this.
Well, what I look in a relationship or a friendship is, having each other's back. And, yeah, that's being loyal, having loyalty. Uh, and it goes both ways, right? Because when it comes to a relationship or a bond, you want both parties to be on the same page, right, Jay?
Yeah,
So for
that's
me,
true.
it's just really important to, have high regard about loyalty because um I would never do something that would compromise that trust. You know what I mean? So, um, being loyal to someone and having trust, that's just really important. And with loyalty comes honesty as well, because of course you want to be friends for good reasons, right? It's not because um is transactional or there's something that you want out of them. So yes, being honest with one another and being genuine, having good intentions towards one another, that's what I look for in a bond. And although uh, some of your friends might not have the same values as you, as long as they respect your values and you respect their values, as long as there's mutual respect in terms of that, uh, you can still be there for one another, although you
Mm.
don't share the same values. But yes, I am heavy on the fact that that person shouldn't be spineless. Like they need to stand for something. They need to know what their values are, because like you don't want a friend that just keep changing their minds because they can just wrap their head around um that principle or something like that. So you want someone that is really secure about their values and their principles. And when it comes to a time of need or a time of confusion, they're there to, keep you grounded or even guide you if you are doing something wrong or you feel lost. So when it comes to that, really, um, I also really put a lot of importance in that. And finally, acceptance, because at the end of the day, you're two different individuals. You can't be the same, otherwise you're just telling someone to be a certain way and it's not who they are.
Yeah.
So accepting one another as uh their own witty selves. But yes, yeah. And it's not about, how do you call it, like the differences that you have are not um something that you should be worried about unless you make it a problem out of it. But of course, like those differences can help you grow, like can help each other grow. Like with those differences you can put different perspectives towards the situation, and it's just something that can open up or broaden your perspective and your ways of thinking when it comes to matters in life. So yeah, I said a lot of things,
Yeah,
but
but
those
I
are the
really
most
agree with
important
all
things.
of it, though, especially that last one when you said about like acceptance, because it's true. We're all different. We all have our different strengths, different quirks, and things like that. And if you find someone that accepts you, right, because of this and that, and what makes you different, then it's nice, right? That is one, I think, one of the pillars that starts to form a strong bond or connection with a friend, right, or with a person. That's why I mentioned before, like sense of humor, being able to share your sense of humor, at least laugh at your jokes, is always, and it's a nice way to find someone that finds your sense of humor funny versus someone that finds it weird. Because we're all different. We all like laugh at different things. We all have different interests and things like that, and kind of like in our kickoff chat, different topics or conversations that really piques our interest. But it's nice if somebody can accept it, like if even if they don't share it, if they accept it and then they genuinely just cheer for you on it, it's nice to have that as well. So I think one of the other qualities for me that helps to form a strong bond or friendship or relationship with someone is showing up, right? Showing up for you when you least expect it, showing up for you especially when you need them, and not just abandoning you, right? Not just leaving you alone, especially when you need them, and especially when you're, if you're working together and all of a sudden they just sort of disappear and things like that, right? It's kind of like when you're working towards something, like they're there no matter what. And sure, everyone goes through their own challenges and problems, but being able to openly communicate that as well. I think that's another part. Open, honest communication, right? I think you touched on it with honesty, but being able to find someone that you can trust enough to share exactly completely what you're feeling at a particular situation, how things are going, and to be able to say that without sugarcoating it, without having to hide it, without having to sort of like, keep it away from you and sort of hide it from you. It's nice to be able to have a friend that can be honest and transparent with how they're feeling and how how things are going. If they're not feeling good, if they're not feeling well, if they don't agree with that, right? But they're still, they're there to stay with you and to kind of like talk it out. So people who show up, that's very, very important qualities. But I love that there's so many different things that are, that are important. And I think values is very important as well. Like you may not have the same, but the respect of each other's values kind of like helps to form a better, stronger connection with people. Here in our live chat, let's go ahead and say hello to a few of them. Belle, there's a few hellos in there, but I think I also see a couple of comments regarding what we're talking about.
So here joining us today, there's also Renee Pabilona saying hello. And we also have Lani saying hello po, Faith Emeldi Ohana. We also have here our Caroline Shank saying morning Ohana. And we also have Kaviki Damopoy saying good afternoon from London district of Britain South. Happy and enjoy watching Faith and Melody. Hello, Kijay at Bell, Kitex, Kirad, Atlani, Maria to care, everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. But yeah, here um our our viewers just share with us a few um of the qualities that they look for in a bond. And here, Carolyn Chang said, strong qualities are love, effort, integrity, loyalty, honesty, transparency, and like take me or accept me.
Mm.
And Rod here also mentioned, I like if they are transparent and keep it real. Yes. Um, and that's true. You want someone who, they're transparent with you and they're clear about, what their intentions are when it comes to the bond or the friendship or the relationship itself. So yes, I totally agree with what's been mentioned so far. And you know, which is good that we know what we look for when it comes to meeting new people, building a, a friendship or a relationship, because you don't want to be stuck with someone who doesn't really bring much to the table in a way where it doesn't add up to your happiness that you have, because life is already hard on its own, and
Yeah.
you want to be surrounded by people that are good for you.
People
And
who uplift you, right?
yes.
They encourage you, uplift you. That's a positive influence in your life, and especially with everything that's going on, somebody that will laugh with you, not at you. Although sometimes people laugh
Oh,
at you.
yes.
I mean, like, there's so many great qualities there that then really we have to ask the question, because not all friends that we've had in our lifetime stay, right? So, why do you think, in your own experience, Belle, and for our viewers as well, why do you think some friendships they fade over time while other friendships they go on and on? Like, what do you think makes it different in your own experience from what what you've had to deal with?
So for me, some friendship didn't work out, or they're just like you've just grown apart in different directions. It's because um, you're not in alignment with each other anymore, and your paths are different in a way where, for example, let's put it in a school setting. You've been in school for like in this course for like 3 years. So of course you're gonna make friends along the way because you're in the same course, in the same class, right?
Mm.
So or in the same school as well, because there could be different courses. So yeah, after those 3 years, then it is expected for you to not stay in touch with everyone, because you're either really super close that you want to keep it like still keep in touch and keep each other in each other's lives, or it's just sometimes it just naturally happens where you just focus on your careers, on your own life, and you just keep moving forward towards your own goals, and those goals could be different for other people in that class. So yes, in that analogy or in that group setting that I mentioned about school, that also goes for the people that we meet in our lives. And it doesn't have to be only like in school or work or even church. You know, God really puts people in our life um, for a reason. So, um, when it comes to having the same goals, or like having the same path, or you know being aligned with one another, that really helps the friendship or the bond. And also, it can be a matter of vicinity, or having different time zones. That's also hard, like having a long distance friendship or a long distance relationship. That's really hard because you're not there for each other physically. You can't see each other or have like a coffee together because you're just not in the same country or in the
Yeah,
same
one person they're waking up and the other person's already in bed, already asleep. It's
yeah.
that's a tough one when you're really the time zone difference is that big, right? Like one it's already daytime and the other side's nighttime. So yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean with that. It's definitely a challenge to continue. I mean, like it's not saying that it's not possible. Many people continue on with the friendship and they just catch up in different ways, but you're not able to be live most of the time, right? To be able to talk with them, and when they're awake, you're awake, kind of thing. Yeah. Was there
And
something else?
yes, sorry. But I also agree that there are friendships that are like low maintenance. Not low maintenance in a way where it's not important, like let's just toss it away. It's not that. It's just like you already have that mutual understanding that you don't have to talk to each other every day. Or you don't have to talk for each other even for like a few months. And once you go meet each other or like finally talk again, you just keep going from where you left off. And there's no awkward feeling, or there's no awkwardness, or anger even about the fact that you didn't keep in touch. But of course, like that's different for each person. So that's why you need to make it clear, like what type of friendship do you want with that person, or relationship, because each person have has their own way of showing up for someone. So if you do like meeting up with someone when you are in need, or you like just having a call rather than meeting, then you should communicate that as well, so that you don't get offended when something doesn't go your way, because you would think, oh, why are they doing that, like they don't care about me. But in the
Mm.
end, it's their way to handle the situation, or that's their way to show up for someone. So yeah, that's why it's just really important to be on the same page when it comes to understanding as well, right, Jay?
Yeah, because like low maintenance, I kind of like that a little bit. Like when you don't have to constantly be um, doing something to make them feel like give them the reaffirmation that you're still friends, right? Like you're still friends, like no matter what. Like we may not speak for like a month, but then that's okay because like it's we still touch base with like messages here and there, and you still get messages like how are you, how are things doing, things like that, and they catch up in their own wave. Because one of the things when it comes to, I guess the opposite would be high maintenance, is that if you forget to do something, if you get to greet them and then they take offense already, and but then they don't bring it up. So you one of the things that could affect friendships that I've realized is that unspoken tension that you have with each other. Like things didn't go well, but then you're not discussing it. You're not bringing up that, you're not having that tough conversation saying, hey, I don't like what you did this and whatever. You just keep it to yourself, and you already built up this guilt, or you built up this negative emotion towards the other person. And I'm not talking properly, but yeah. But yeah, unspoken tension, I think that's one of those things that is very unhealthy when it comes to trying to form a stronger connection with someone. If there's a problem, you should be able to communicate it. You should be able to talk about it. You should be able to go to the other person and say that, I didn't like when this happened, and kind of like share, and that you can talk. That's important as well. And again, speaking from experience, especially when you move from a different scenario of relationship, marriage, right? Open communication between spouses, with husband and wife, is very, very important. And you don't realize how important it is to really be able to share what you're thinking and feeling, because the other person's not a mind reader. So even in friendships, your friends can't tell how you're feeling sometimes because they're going through their own worries and challenges. And sometimes you don't know if you've offended someone, right? You thought it was something lighthearted, you thought it was just something funny, but then it might have really hurt another person's feelings. So the other person should be able to be comfortable enough in that bond to go to the person and put them to the side and say, I really didn't like this or that, you know? So unspoken tension is, I think, one of those things that could damage uh, a build up to a stronger friendship. But the other thing, I think you kind of touched on this, Belle, was the how people just change, right? Their interests change, and there's a difference in the growth. You know, we're all about striving for growth and striving to level up and be better. You know, to be more mature in life, to be more responsible. You know, all of those things, they not just affect like our duties as, you know, as Christians, but also as people. And I think when in a friendship, if one person is growing and the other person remains where they are, you know, the growth starts to show itself, right? And the thing is, if you want to close that gap between the two of you, it's like, does the person that's growing bring themselves down to a lower level, or, you know, it should be the other person, right? So like, which one really would you be? So it's important that when there is a growth in like in their skills, in life and things like that, you don't lower yourself to a lower level, right? Because we're all about growth and progression and things in life. So it's really the other person that needs to grow. And if they don't, then that's why you kind of like end up fading that friendship. Like the friendship kind of like disappears, or it gets put off to the side. That's what I've experienced personally. Is that there's people in life who just stay where they are and they don't grow anymore. They don't improve and they stare, right? And it's like you don't want to lower yourself to that level. You want to continue leveling up, right? So it's kind of like you just have to let that friendship go. And that's what I've realized in my life. Like you can't stick around with people who are bringing you down, because it's not going to be good for your health and for your mental well-being. You need people that's going to lift you up, right? People are going to cheer you on. And so that's why it's important that you know who are the people that you're spending your time with. So as you get older in life, you find out that it's not about the quantity of people who you consider are your closest, strongest friends. It's the quality. It's a quality that they bring, because you're all lifting each other up to a higher level. And it doesn't mean that you can't be friends with others, right? Who are not there, right? You know, friendships and being kind, right? Doesn't mean that you're not kind, because that's, as Christians, we should always be kind to everyone. But in terms of building ties that last, as what we're talking about here, the strong connections, yeah, it really matters with the growth. It's all about growing and improving, and not being the one that drags the other person down, right? If you're always the one that's always getting reminded, always having to be, you know, like in a group assignment, like in school when you had to work together in a group. I don't know if you've done that, Belle, but if you ever have to work in a group project, there's
Yeah.
always that one person that doesn't pull their weight,
Always,
right?
unfortunately.
And the thing is, everyone else gets annoyed with that person, you know, because they have to put in the extra effort to fill in the gap. Don't be that person. Don't be that person, right? And what do you think would happen the next time comes around that there's another group assignment, and now the teacher tells you this time you can select the people in your group? Do you think they'll choose you if you're the one that wasn't putting in the work? So got to think about it in that aspect. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and read. I think there's a nice comment there from Rod that he's written there. So go ahead, Bill. Just read that out really quickly.
Rod here said, people change and their interests change, but without genuine love, then it'll fade. If there is genuine love, it'll last regardless the time. And I really agree with that. And he also shared here ties that last, an acronym. to inspire every special togetherness, hoping all tries, love, and stays true. And that is really a nice acronym. So thank you, Rod, for that. And I do agree because people change. Maybe not that not drastically, but little by little, people always change. There's
Mm.
always change involved when it comes to um, embarking new phases in life, embarking a new chapter in life. And that's only normal, right? That's only human as well. So, you know, um, that's why acceptance is really important when it comes to relationships and friendships because at the end of the day they're their own selves. So if they don't like, I don't know, the color blue anymore and now they like purple, they're still their own selves. But you know at the end of the day it's up to you how you want to view them as. And that's why it's just really important to always like um always respect and value each other and accept each other although there's a lot of changes involved. And
Mm.
I totally agree with what's been mentioned so far because yes, at the end of the day, um as long as you're genuine, you're there for one another, and um you put in your weight, like you mentioned earlier, Jay, then it'll work because, you know, you don't want to put work into something that that at the end of the day is only you working on it when the other person is just not really putting much effort in. So that'll feel draining as well for you. So you want to find relationships or friendships where what you mentioned earlier, uh, where you feel uplifted because at the end of the day that's almost the whole point of having people around you, for you to feel uplifted, relieved from your problems in life. And you don't have to have them to solve them for you. As long as they're there for you, then you know that's how you'll be able to move forward.
Yeah, and that's why interests are nice as well. But at the same time, you got to think about if this is the person that you're going to go to for advice, if you're facing a problem or you're facing an unexpected turn of events in your life, right? Would this be the right person that you go to for advice? And there's certain people that we're just friends with because they're funny or they're fun, right? But we're talking about ties that last, like the quality, right? We're talking about the strong friendships that really lifts you up and continue to be friends with, right? And most of the thing in my experience, it's like they're people who you can turn to because they're growing, they're going through things and they've got experience there and they're like learning things and they've gone through like challenges in life and they've overcome it. And it's also even a bonus, like much better if they're the reason why they're able to overcome it is due to the same values that you share, being your faith and your trusting our almighty God and things like that, right? So it's nice that you're careful with that. So really this ties into this roundup of this part of our discussion, which is what's something that you've learned over time with the different friendships you've had in the past. Like obviously there are certain friends that we used to be friends with in primary school and in high school that we're probably not friends with now. Like what's something you've learned over time about maintaining healthy relationships? Let us know. Belle, what's something that you've learned there?
Well, it takes two.
Mm,
A bond
yes.
should be with two people because you know it's a bond. It takes two parties to create a bond. So yes, it takes two. And people always say, oh, you should give, it should be a 50-50 type of relationship or 50-50 type of friendship. And I used to agree with that because 50-50, so that you both put your way in, like 50 and 50. But there's this friend of mine that shared with me this analogy. It shouldn't be 50-50. It should be 100% out of 100%. Because at the end of the day, you don't know what 50 is. like a 50, like 50% of something could be different to the other 50% for that person. So, and that could lead to miscommunications or misunderstandings. So when it comes to a bond, a person should give 100% of themselves.
Agree.
And
Agree.
and if in some days it's like 120 and 80%, that's fine as long as you're both on the same page. Because for example, um your friend has been so busy with work. They've been taking overtime after overtime after overtime. They're so physically tired, mentally tired, and it's just hard to show up for other people when it's hard to show up for yourself, right, Jay? So on the receiving end, then you feel like you've been neglected because they've been so busy, right? So it's up to you how you want to view the situation. It's either you still give 100% and you just get upset that they're just giving like 80% of their part, or like uh or you could just be more understanding, try to reach out to them in a way where, oh, are you free during lunch? Maybe I can go to you instead of like planning um planning a dinner or like a lunch somewhere else. I'll just go to you. I'll just come to you so that you don't have to stress about, uh, being tired during the whole day of work. So, yes. And that's how you can cover that 20% for them, trying to show up more for them in that moment of need. And at the end of the day, um, it's up to you, both of the two people. It's up to you both how you want to show up for one another. But when you feel like someone is not really present or someone is struggling to be present, then it's up to you how you want to react to the situation, or um, manage the situation somehow, especially if it's under your control, or if there is something that is under your control, and you can do something about it, then why not give it a chance, give it a shot to make things better, make things easier, right? And that goes hand in hand with consideration, because um if you do consider someone really important in your life and you want them in your life, then of course they're going to be on your mind, and you'll think about them. So when it comes to covering for someone, like 20%, and you giving 120% instead of just 100, at the end of the day, is not really about numbers. It's up to you how you want to show up for one another. But yes, I hope that makes sense. So I I no longer agree with the 50-50 theory, but um, you know, I hope this has broadened the perspective of certain people, because it has, to me, like that. It really has broadened mine after one of my friends mentioned that, because it is true that at the end of the day, the 50% could be different for the other person. So, yes, always give 100%.
Always give 100%. That makes total sense to me now, right? Like what you said. Like I've heard that saying before, 50-50, right? Friendships are 50-50, or relationships and whatever, right? But it's 100%, right? You don't just do a little bit. You don't just give 50% of yourself. Like especially if you're talking about like uh one of the higher ends of connections and relationships is like marriage, right? You don't just do 50% of the work. You don't just put in 50% of the effort. It's 100% all the time. You give the best that you can give at that time, like whatever your 100% is at that day, right? Because it does vary depending on what load and stress you're under, but you got to give 100%. The only thing that I'm going to add to this in terms of things that I've learned in maintaining healthy relationships have misunderstandings, have problems. What makes them healthy is you being able to talk about it with each other, right? If you're not able to talk about the problems, if you're not able to talk about the concerns or like the misunderstandings, then that's not a healthy relationship, because that's downhill, right? It's not going to build anything. A healthy relationship is not immune to problems, like you're going to experience it. What makes it healthy is that you're able to talk about it. That's what I've learned. The ones that I'm able to talk about to talk about the people when there are misunderstandings, they're the ones that relationships have lasted. And I've had a few. I've had a couple where I've had to speak to them. And obviously, even in marriage, it's one of those important things, right? Communication. So that's the only thing that I'm going to add here. Like, there's so many things that we're probably going to run out of time. So, one of the main things that I really picked out over my years of friendships, relationships, but also in marriage is you need to be able to talk to each other, especially when it's hard, when it's tough, when you're going through problems. It's easy to talk and have fun when everything is going well, but it's when things are difficult that's when you really need to put in the 100%, right, Belle? And go, hey, I'm going to swallow my pride and I want to talk about this. And if it's my mistake, I want to own up. And you have to own up to your mistakes and ask for forgiveness. And forgiveness is also a two-way thing. The person needs to acknowledge and own up to the mistake and ask for forgiveness. And the other person, it might take a little bit of time, but the understanding comes in and the love comes in so that you can give the forgiveness, right? Don't forget that, we've been forgiven for so many things ourselves. Like, what right do we have to not forgive somebody else if they're asking for it, especially? So I agree with that. And I think that's our main takeaway just for this part of our discussion, right? Give 100%, not 50-50. Friendships, connections are 100% all the time. And that includes when you're going through problems, you don't just drop down to 0%. Oh, that person offended me. I'm just putting in 0% now or 10%, right? It's always 100%. And that includes owning up to mistakes, asking forgiveness. And if they're asking for forgiveness, the understanding and giving the forgiveness is important. Let's go ahead and read those final comments that I'm seeing there, Belle, and then we can introduce the next two songs for our break.
Here,
Go ahead,
Cherish
Belle.
that she's always been saying that that friendships or relationships should be 100% on both ends, effort and love. And yes, with that said, let's now go on to our musical break. We will be playing for you Open Up Your Eyes, Wake Up, and Kapatid Tarana. We'll be right back.
In the Bible, it was proclaimed it would be hard to be a Christian in these last days. So we gotta be ready to fight the good fight. Yeah. We have been taught from the beginning. This is no time to be lax or be sleeping. Let nothing change our faith inside the Church of Christ. Yeah, this is a time to make a stand. Yeah, step from and follow God's commands. For it is to God that we pledge loyalty. Yeah, don't you be fooled by the lies. Yeah, by all the tricks the devil tries to lead you astray from the truth you receive. It's on your open up your eyes. Yeah, yeah. It's time to wake up and realize that at all times you must defend your faith until the very end. Time to open up your eyes and lead a true Christian life. Our Father has made no mistake with the leader He has placed. He teaches us the truth from God that has stood the test of time. The judgment day is oh so near. It is true you must hold dear. Don't you ever waste your only chance at eternal life. Yeah, this is the time to make a stand. Yeah, to from follow God's commands. For it is to God that we pledge loyalty. Yeah, don't you be fooled by the lies. Yeah, by all the tricks the devil tries to lead you astray from the truth you receive. It's time to open up
Ayon ni Kristo ang tungkulin ingatan. Araw-araw nagsisikap upang ating matupad. Hiling natin sa Ama, ting ginawa ang ating tinig. Pangako sa Kanya at dalangin natin, narito sa ating awit. Kapatid, tara na, tuloy lang sa paglalakbay. Kapatid, tara na, ilang hakbang na lang ang tagumpay. Sa'yo'y may aalalay at gagabay. Tara na, tara na, tara na, tara na. Huwag mapagod, huwag matakot, di niya tayo pababayaan. Nagkalaan ang kaligayahan, walang hangganan. Kapatid, tara na, tuloy lang sa paglalakbay. Kapatid, tara na, ilang hakbang na lang ang tagumpay. Sa'yo'y may aalalay at gagabay. Tara na, tara na, tara na, tara na. Kapatid, tara na, tuloy lang sa paglalakbay. Kapatid, tara na, ilang hakbang na lang ang tagumpay. Kapatid, tara na, tuloy lang sa paglalakbay. Kapatid, tara na, ilang hakbang na lang ang tagumpay.
So we talked about the various things that we look for in our connections, right? And the various reasons why things sometimes don't work. So, let's go deeper into our topic for today. So, how do we care for our closest friends, our closest loved ones, when faced with stress, misunderstandings, or even distance? What has helped you get through a rough patch in a friendship or relationship? Well, for me, is something that has helped me go through a rough patch when it comes to my connections, my bonds in life, is communication. And we mentioned that earlier, right before our musical break. And yes, communication, but that goes hand in hand with understanding. So listening to understand, not only listening to answer, because that could lead to a bigger misunderstanding or even a bigger fight than it has to be. So, yes, for me, communication is really important because, as you mentioned earlier, Jay, you mentioned about not keeping grudges, not letting that negative emotion build up in you, especially if you were really upset about something that they've done to you. So, yes, communicating that you've been hurt or upset, or uh, vice versa. So, yeah, that really is important because you said it. We're not mind readers, and sometimes, yeah, we can read between the lines in certain moments, because when you know someone really well, then you're able to read that person. But not every time, not for everything, not for every need. So that's why um, communicating is really important, and communicating in a healthy and respectful way. Sometimes it's hard, especially when you're mad at someone. It's hard to keep your cool. So that also, that is also something to work on.
That's
But
true.
because you can't say, like, you hurt me, like, while laughing. You know what I mean? It's not something that works like that. I mean, unless you like laughing a lot and that's your way of coping with things, then yes, go for it. But most of the time, it's just hard to express your feelings when you really feel hurt or even angry at that person. So yeah, try to communicate it in the most respectful and clear way possible to avoid any further misunderstandings. And also, right after like the whole argument or like the whole misunderstanding, it's really important to have reconciliation. So, like being sweet to one another, like making it up to one another for that that mistake, or that argument, that miscommunication or misunderstanding, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Like, you can communicate all you want, you can understand all you want, but if you don't do anything about it, you don't act on it after that, and you still feel like, even after the argument, you still feel like your heart is like a bit heavy still. uh that's where you have to act on it. That's where you show up. You know that their favorite drink is, I don't know, a cup of tea, like
Matcha
unsweetened.
latte.
Yeah, iced matcha latte with vanilla syrup, with almond milk. Yeah, I'll take that. But yes, um, yeah, if you know that they like something, and you're at the shop or the cafe, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna see them later, and you just had an argument, then that could be your leverage, or like that could be the instrument that will lead you to reconciliation. So it's like in the small things as well. It doesn't have to be like like the biggest apology, or like the biggest grand gesture. It doesn't have to be that complicated when it comes to reconciliation, because if you really do know the person, then they'll be able to read between the lines when it comes to that. They know that your love language is like to give something to them that they like, whenever they're
Mm.
like, just to lighten up their mood, or just to make them smile. And that goes the same for them. um like, how they act when they're upset, or that, oh, maybe not now, I'll give them a bit more space. But yeah, you know it's a matter of trying to understand each other, instead of blaming each other for who they are and how they are, depending on the situation, of course, because that's not transferable for every situation. But for certain people, it works. Yeah, trying to show up in many different ways.
I agree with that. And it's kind of like what Rod said here in the live chat, right? He says maintaining a lasting relationship, a healthy relationship, really, it's about communication. Yeah. And he also adds, to get through a rough patch, a simple text can help open the door to a broader conversation. So, really, talking it out is important. And kind of like what we mentioned earlier, every relationship and any connections or friendships you have with people, it's bound to go through a misunderstanding. Like, you just misunderstood what they said, right? Or maybe an actual, disagreement. Like, it's bound to go through that. It's normal. It's a part of life. We're all different people. We all see things in different ways. We all have different strengths and tolerances and things like that. So communication and owning up when you make a mistake is really a big important part. But kind of like what you said, and kind of like what Rod says here, you need to sometimes open the door to that conversation when the other person is mad, right? Or they don't really want to talk to you. So if it's a text, if it's like going, "Hey, I come bearing iced matcha latte," and then they're like, "Oh, okay," that they like that. Here's some ube pandesal, right? Because if you like that, it's true, it works. If the other person's mad for a moment, give them some time to cool off, right? And then come and surprise them with something that they like. Usually, food works, right? Food, a drink, coffee. If you know what their favorite, snack is, right? You come bearing that, bearing gifts, basically, and they're like, "Oh, I'm still mad at you," but then it'll start to open up a conversation. Honestly, like in terms of what I've experienced as well, like especially in the whole married life, it plays a really important role if you know what the other person likes, right? If Jem and I have a little misunderstanding with something, I just come back with like some food, something that she likes. Oh, here's this, and then she's like, it's hard to be mad with the person that you care about. So that's the other thing as well. It's like with relationships and connections like that, like you really have to care about your friend. You got to really care about the other person. And even when you make mistakes happen, right? It's like if they're trying to own up to it and make up for it, then it's easier than when there's some food involved. That's the only thing that I'm going to add in there. So know what they like. Come with something to open up the door. And like what Rod said here, sometimes a simple text is all you need. A simple message is all you need to open the door to that broader conversation, and then you can talk about it. Right? You do need that, and that's what's really important. You surprise them with something that they like. It doesn't have to be expensive either. And of course, if it's really a rough patch, it's something really challenging and difficult, most importantly, prayer, right? If give yourself each other a little bit of space to cool off, to get your thoughts together, to let the emotions drop, because again, like what I've mentioned before, emotions is energy in motion, and when it's heightened, you lose all sense of logical thinking, and everything is just like so you got to be careful with that. Time to cool off. It's called cooling off because it just lowers that energy, right, to a more grounded level. Prayer is important because you need God's guidance, right? Especially if you're trying to patch things up, you need prayer, you need that understanding, you need that empathy. So prayer is really, really important to help patch up a rough patch with your friendships and your connections. And Rod's got here an acronym for the word communication, right? I still remember his acronym for ABCDEFG. That was really, really good. But this one is Rod's acronym for communication, which is creating open-minded, meaningful understanding, naturally inspires communication, always thankful in one's nobility. Wow. So that is an awesome acronym for the word communication. And it really says in itself how important communication is. So with that, we all know that we go through problems and challenges. So Belle, I want to ask you first this question. What's one thing that you do, or maybe one thing that you want to start doing, so that you can intentionally strengthen the connections or the relationships that you have now? Like what's something that maybe you've done or you think about doing?
Well, trying to include them more in my everyday life, especially my close circle of friends. Because you know how we always say, "Oh yeah, let's catch up on this day. Oh, let's catch up." Sometimes it takes months to do that. Sometimes even years, depending like on that type of friendship or relationship. But uh, including them more in your life, so that it's not as overwhelming when you have to talk like in person after a few months. And of course, that really depends on each other's schedules. And it depends also on the willingness from both parties. But I came across this video a few months ago. It was about, um, it was like, this is your sign to stop catching up with your friends. And like, it was like, that was like the intro. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, what's this? And it basically talked about, yeah, including your friends more in your everyday lives. It doesn't have to be like something grand, as I mentioned earlier. It doesn't have to be something, oh yeah, let's prepare this like dinner with everyone and everything, or like this lunch at this restaurant. Like it doesn't have to be something as big as that. You can just like do groceries together. I don't know, go gym together. Uh, go for a stroll in the park or something like that. It doesn't have to be something grand. Just you can include them in your mundane little things that you do every day on your everyday life. And yes, that uh, you'll see how much growth you can have in that bond, because you'll get to know each other, even like the small little quirks that you have that maybe some people don't notice because you don't spend as much time together. But yes, that really opened my eyes in, like, that means I have to make more time for the friends or the loved ones that I want in my life. And that was a really good way of thinking. I'm not saying that you shouldn't catch up with any of your friends anymore, but for for those who are really close to you and you want them really close to you, especially if they live near you, then that could be a possibility, right, Jay? So, yeah. I mean, when it comes to like long distance friendships or relationships, then that's a whole different thing, of course. Because of distance, then you have to resort to different other things to include them in your life. But yes, um, try to go grocery shopping with your friends, or simply fulfilling your duties together. That also is something that brings much more joy, especially because you're doing something good together. But
I
yes.
know one
Ye-
thing that Jem has been doing is she's a couple of her friends. They've been sharing their experience watching a particular anime, right? And they're all into. And that's another great thing, that when you've got something similar to talk about, right? Like similar interests. Like they've been watching this anime, they've been sharing each other. Oh, you should watch this one next. You should watch that one next. A lot of it is the romantic comedy kind of animes and things like that. But they really enjoy that, right? So it's nice when you're able to, even though you're not catching up in person, but you're involving them in your life, like what Belle said. Like you involve them in what you're interested in right now. You involve them with what you're doing right now. Maybe they'll join you and things like that, right? Watching their own time. You don't have to watch together, right? But you're watching together, and then you're excited about the same thing, and then there's always something great about that. One thing um, that I'd like to do. So I haven't done this before, but it's something that again I also saw, and I thought it was a really great idea. Something Jem showed me, and it really involves how with men in particular, like with guys, they don't really talk about their feelings much. And Kuya Rod alluded to this a little bit here in the chat, where he says, "Talk more with intention. Talk about the difficult stuff." And I think with that, the thing that reminded me with that is usually it's a difficult stuff that guys don't talk about with other guys. Like they don't talk about it with anyone. They keep it to themselves because majority of the time we're trying to be fixers. We're trying to fix a problem, and so we don't really want to, share that we're going through a problem with anyone else. It's kind of like, I don't know, something that just happens, right? But I think this one that Jem showed me is the importance of regular check-ins, especially with your guy friends, for the men out there. One thing that I saw is just doing a quick check-in video with each other, right? And a quick video selfie where you just talk about how life is going and what you're up to, and that you just send that to your group chat of your closest group of, your friends, just to catch up with each other or just to keep in touch, right? To check in. So that's one thing that I thought was a really great idea when you talk about like how things are going or how you're feeling and how, the problems or whatever else. Like just really lightly, like, oh, this is something that I've been doing today and I'm finding it difficult, but I'm working on it. And, everyone else is sort of sharing their thing. So it's like a daily or like a weekly kind of activity. I thought it was nice, right? Because usually guys don't talk about that, and what people post on social media are all filled, the things are all curated to be showing off their best self, right? Whereas we know that everyone goes through problems and everyone goes through worries and challenges. So being able to have like a trusted group of friends that you can just do a quick video self checking in, something short like a quick 30-second video on how the day's been going or how the week's been going for you and how, everything else. It's nice to be able to regularly do that and check in with each other. So it's kind of like getting involved with each other's life, especially if you're not able to see each other in person for quite a while. It's a nice way to continue building that relationship. So that's one thing that I'd like to start doing, if I find the right people. Right? You got to be also careful on the people that you trust with that, right? And yeah, it's one of those things that as long as you've got that right support system in place, then it's nice to help to strengthen that relationships more. But with that, we're gonna wrap up this part of our conversation. Again, thank you to the insights that we've been receiving there in live chat. And a quick shout out as well to Priscilla Batan, that's always tuning in and supporting Faith and Melody as well in INC Radio, saying hello. She's greeting us, Belle and Jay, right? And she's saying, have a nice day po. Enjoy watching from the District of Rizal, and she's continue saying, stay healthy and more power always. God bless po to all. So again, thank you to everyone that's joined in this part of our discussion. Before we wrap up and proceed to the last segment of our conversation today, we're going to take another quick break. These next two songs that we'll be listening to are titled Kasama Kita, and the second song is Up to the Holy Land. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
Bakit nga ba madalas ang iyong ngiti? Dahil ba masaya o dahil ang lungkot ay madaling itanggi? Sandali kang yumuko at pumikit. Ako'y nasa iyong tabi, mga luhay di kailangang pigilin. Kahit ang ulap ay marunong din namang umiyak. Tulad ng panahon, lahat ay lumilipas. Ikaw at ako'y magpapaalam sa lahat ng ating mga luha. Tahan na, balang araw ang bakas ng natuyong luhay siyang magpipinta ng ligaya. Tahan na. Kahapoy magkasama, nalampasan, magkahawak ang kamay. Pagsubok ang sa di nagpatibay. At sa bukas, kung ang sakit maulit man, manatiling matatag. Asahan mong ika'y sasamahan. Hanggat may buhay, may pag-asa kang mapanghahawakan. Tulad ng araw na sisikat pagkatapos ng ulan. Mga hinihiling tahimik, sinambit ng labi. Di na mamalayang nadinig ka na ng langit. Oh, ikaw at ako ay sa
alone, I'm never helpless. Even if I have to struggle, I know the Almighty God will save me from trouble. God sought me out and He brought me here, so I'll worship Him with a heart sincere. I'll serve God even in my youth, and as I grow up, I'll keep His truth. Fellow brethren, come with me. There's a land where we're meant to be. Let's go on in this journey to a life we'll enjoy eternally. Let's go up to the holy man, 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 God lifts me up and never lets me go. He reminds me that I'm close to my goal. All of His commands I shall obey, and nothing will ever stand in my way. Even though my life is tough, to help me get through all the bad stuff. So dear Father, I give thanks to You, because You are so good and true. Fellow brethren, come with me. There's a land where we're meant to be. Let's go on in this journey to a life we'll enjoy eternally. Let's go up to the holy man, 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 up to the ho
Even though hardships are rough, God will make us mighty and tough. INC united as one. We know our race will be won.
He's our guiding light through all the darkest nights, giving us hope and strength to get through all the fights. We all know it's our time to shine.
Hello, brethren, come with me. There's a land where we're meant to be. Let's go on in this journey to a life we'll enjoy eternally. Brethren, come with me. There's a land where we're meant to be. Let's go on in this journey to a life we'll enjoy eternally. Up to the holy land, 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 up to the holy land. Fellow brethren, come with me. There's a land where we're meant to be. Let's go on in this journey to a life we'll enjoy eternally. Go to the Holy Land.
Jay and Bell here on INC Radio's Faith and Melody, and we have been talking about ties that last. And in this final part of our discussion, we're going to ask the question on the importance of our faith and how the way that it shows up in our relationship. So we've already talked about kind of like what's needed to form those connections and the friendships that we have. But we do know that people change, seasons of life change, the things are that we value and things like that. They all go in different ways. And we also experience misunderstandings, right? But there's ways for us to nurture those connections, to take care of them, to work together, right? To be able to communicate honestly and transparently, to own up, to be there 100% of the time, not just 50-50, right? Giving your all for those people, especially when you care and love the connection and the bond and what the other person does for you, right? Like in terms of lifting you up, right? Helping you to level up and things like that. So when it comes to our faith, how does our faith help shape the way that we show up in our relationships, that what we believe in, our values? In what way does it show up in our relationship? Belle.
Well, as Christians, we've always been taught to treat each other with kindness and to love one another as much as you love yourself. And when it comes to our faith always comes with hope as well as love. So all of
Mm.
these three are always in motion together, Jay. So yes, and it also is something really crucial to our friendships and relationships in life because you know our faith really keeps us grounded to our values and our being as Christians. And you know, at the end of the day, no matter how hard the situation is, no matter how many misunderstandings, or no matter of the distance or time difference, um, as long as you care for one another and you show up for one another in other different ways, then uh, you know you'll be able to maintain that friendship or that bond because um, you can have faith but without hope, then how can you hope for for the better for each other and love especially? And we've always been taught that above all three, love is always the one that always prevails. So, uh, like Rod mentioned earlier in the comments, if there is genuine love, it doesn't matter what circumstances there is, you always be there for one another. You'll always fall back into each other's lives. And, that really is something reassuring because um, you can still be supporting one another in different ways, even though um, you're distant from one another. There's time difference, and I know that it's hard because we did talk about that fact being like a deal breaker or a major fact in falling out from a friendship or a relationship, right, Jay? So yes, when it comes to our faith as Christians, it's always like it always reminds us to always be kind and always love one another. So that is really something that we should always keep in mind. But what about you? Like, what can you share about that, Jay?
Um, Again, more of the same in terms of our faith. It teaches us really to be patient, to be kind, and to forgive. What's a lot of the reminders and the lessons that we receive during our worship services, the importance that we have those qualities, right? Not only in our faith as Christians, but also in how we deal with other people, with the people that we encounter. Like we have so many different types of connections with people, right? Relationships with people. There's the ones that are just there because we're working with them, someone that we pass by, or and even the people that are much more closer to us, the people that we really are important, they're a part of our lives, even our family, our closest friends, right? Our loved ones. With all of those things, kindness is very important. And our faith teaches us that we have to be kind for anyone because we don't know what challenges and problems they're going through. Like there's already so much, problems going in this world, so much worry that's going on in the times that we live in. Like being kind is really, really important to anyone that we encounter. Being patient, especially when it comes to our closest friendships and connections, being patient with the other person and understanding too. But overall, just like what you said, love is the most important thing. Like with love, you can conquer anything, any misunderstandings that you have. As long as love is there, you'll work together, right? You'll give 100% always to figure it out, to sort it, and to fix the misunderstanding. And I think overall, like I said here, is like forgiveness. right? Over all of those things, especially when it comes to misunderstandings. Again, just because you're going through a misunderstanding or like a rough patch in your connections, in your friendships, in your relationships, doesn't mean that that's the end of the world because it's normal, right? There's always misunderstandings because we're all different people. But as long as we have that love for one another, we should always be able to own up to the problem or to the misunderstanding and then forgive, right? Forgive and learn and move forward with the lessons from that, from that misunderstanding. So there's always that. We always know that growth comes from learning through the challenges that we face. Like even as Christians, we face our own challenges in life, um, but it always teaches us a lesson. So when those challenges come with the friendships or the connections that we have, let's also learn to forgive. Because don't forget, as Christians, right, we were forgiven. So what right do we have to not be able to forgive a friend or someone that we care about, especially if they're asking and acknowledging their mistake and asking for our forgiveness. It might take a little bit of time for the energy and the emotions to die down, but forgiveness is a very important part of not only our faith, but in terms of how it shows up with the connections, with the friendships, with the ties that last in your life, right? Because like there's always going to be those problems, and forgiveness is the most important thing there. But with that, yeah, hopefully we have all taken something away from our conversation today. I think the final takeaway from this part of our discussion is that be the kind of friend that we hope to have. So sure, we've been talking about the things that we would expect from other people. Oh, we want people to forgive us. We want people to give 100%. Don't forget, you have to do that too, right? Like what Belle said, it takes two. It takes two to form a connection, a friendship, right? There's always two. So be the kind of friend that you hope to have because how you show up for others is how others will show up for you. So that's the most important thing there. Belle, did you want to say any final words there before we read a couple of, I can see a couple of greetings and a couple of comments in our live chat, but did you want to give any final remarks from what we've talked about today before you go ahead and read those?
Yeah, sure. Would like to add to something that you mentioned. I mean, most of the things have been mentioned already, which is good. And I'm glad that we really look towards the positive side of things because, as you mentioned earlier, Jay, um, life is always going to be, there's always going to be misunderstandings, and it's okay to normalize them. And it's not always going to be sunshine and uh, sunshine and a blue sky. But yes, it's how you get back up. It's how you uh, learn how to reconcile. It's learning how to forgive as well, and that's really important. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, Jay, because at the end of the day, uh, no one is really perfect. It's up to you how you want to show up for someone. And when you know that you can give more, why don't you give more? Give it your
Mm.
all. Give it your 100% or even more if you can. Uh, because um, who would want someone who holds back when caring for someone, when caring for you, right? Why would you hold back when you really love someone or you really care for someone or you really, you really want to be there for someone? So, yeah, why hold back when you can uh, go beyond, above and beyond? And it really shows that at the end of the day, that's why you have to choose your people. And it doesn't have to be grand gestures as we've been mentioning, but yes, as long as you consider them in your life and you have each other's back, uh, that's all that matters really, because there should be willingness in maintaining the friendship or the relationship. So yes.
And faith
um,
and faith grows too, right? Right, Belle? Like faith grows. So even you know, you need to have somebody that's gonna help grow with you, help each other grow, right? To have a friend that grows with you and helps you grow if you start like failing, or if they start, like, you're always there for each other. That's the type of friend and the type of, faith that we want to have and with our friendships. But yeah, let's go ahead and read any of the final comments before we move on to our Christian value in the closing part of our broadcast.
Well, here, uh, Rod said, "Don't worry," and he also shared here, "Faith," an acronym. Friendship always intensifies through happiness, and that's true. And you know, we also have here, Brian Torres, saying, "Happy listening from Washington D.C. Hello to my beautiful wife, Rose Ann, and to our beautiful daughter, Winley." And yes, um, I really love that acronym. It's really spot on, Rod. So thank you for sharing that. Um, and I hope that this topic really has brought everyone to um, closer to one another, since it is ties that last. And I hope that uh, all of us will be able to find ways to show up for one another or for
That's
our loved
true.
ones and friends. So yes,
Yes, and
thank you.
just to wrap up this final discussion of our topic, there's a Christian value that we have prepared for you, which is, when it comes to friendships and everything else, let us always remember that love is patient, kind, and never gives up. In our relationships, we're called to reflect that kind of love, one that forgives, endures, and seeks peace. Through Christ, we gain the strength to build connections that are rooted in grace and truth. So we hope everyone has enjoyed our discussion and our conversation today. And we also truly enjoyed everyone that's been sharing their insights. Belle, why don't you go ahead and introduce our final segment of today's broadcast?
And we will have our verse of the week now, and it'll be forgiving friends who hurt you.
You know, when it comes to our friends, we do our best to take care of our relationship with them and strive to keep them as peaceful and harmonious as possible. But what if that harmony gets disrupted? How do you forgive a friend who, for example, hurt you with their words or even their actions? I'm Brother Donald Pinnock, and that's what we'll find out in today's verse of the week. Let's read Proverbs 17 and the verse is 9. If you want people to like you, forgive them when they wrong you. Remembering wrongs can break up a friendship. Sometimes we may be on the receiving end of hurtful words and or actions from those closest to us. The Bible teaches, however, that we should be prepared to forgive those who have wronged us, and when we forgive them, we should do so sincerely and completely. That way we can preserve our friendship instead of holding a grudge or resentment against our friend. The Lord Jesus Christ established a very special relationship called the brotherhood, which the members of His church, the Church of Christ, are expected to safeguard. This is why we are further reminded to forgive one another when unwanted incidents occur, since the Lord our God forgives us for our misdeeds. Dear friends, we hope this verse of the week inspires you. And if you know someone who could use this reminder, please share this short video with them. And as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay faithful. God bless.
Thank you so much to Brother Donald for that timely reminder and the inspiring message to take with us for the week ahead, and really ties in well with what we've been talking about from our own personal experiences. With that, we hope we all enjoyed our conversation today. Belle, why don't I pass it over to you to give any final shout outs and greetings?
Well, I'd like to greet everyone who was able to support us today. It really means a lot. And, my family as well. My mom, Aterica, Arian, Samsam, and Dandan, and everyone else who will be tuning in our replays. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well to my co-host Belle for joining me today. But of course, a quick shout out to my best friend, which is Jem, my wife, and also to our daughter Lena, and again to all the Ohana, all the viewers that always support Faith and Melody throughout the week. Make sure you tune in next week as well. Right, next week is a very milestone week here on Faith and Melody. So you don't want to miss that. So if there's anything that make sure you tune in all the time. But next week in particular is going to be a milestone week for Faith and Melody. And apart from that, some final acknowledgments and thanks to, of course, our technical team there in the main studio, our Kuya Nico and Irene that's been helping us out on today's broadcast. Sister Destacenas as well, and Brother Edwin Asabuke. And of course, thank you to Brother Wally Tarai, the INC radio station manager. Most above all, a grateful thanks and appreciation to our executive minister of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, Church of Christ, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and the deputy executive minister, Brother Angelo Iranio Manalo. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Jay from Australia.
And I'm Belle from the United Kingdom, and we have been your hosts for today's broadcast. And we hope that today's episode has given you a positive start to your week ahead. To close off our episode today, well, we'll be listening to "You Don't Have to Be Alone." Join us again tomorrow on the next episode of Faith and Melody. We'll be right back.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Next
great
time.
week.
You say your mountain's way too high. The hope that you have subsides. The hope that you have subsides. That moment you feel you'll cross the line, I'll reach out my hands and climb. With you I'll climb. Your time, you've lost your sight on the prize. Don't give up now, even if impossible is what it seems. You know that I'm here, there's no need to fear. You don't have to do this on your own. I'm right by your side, with arms open wide. You won't ever have to be alone. I will fight, holding tight. You don't have to do this on your own. Call to him, close your eyes. You won't ever have to be alone. You say the rain is too severe. The path you walk stays unclear. The path you walk stays unclear.